Heyo, welcome to the Streamo Supremo Beepop Skibbity Bop Fimo. Today you'll see. So me and Cosby used to go to a place called Bogleach, which had monster reviews from obscure games of like monsters and sprites and shit, and we decided, you know what would be fun? Let's make that a stream. And here we are now, today. Just waiting for him, for a girl like you to come into my life. The first thing we're going to review is Alien Storm, which was for the Sega Genesis and the arcade. I think this is the arcade version. I've got the image up. Testing. So, yeah, will this be a thing? I don't know. Hello?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, what image do you want me to start on, Cosby? I have the folder here. Would you like me to tell you which one came first alphabetically?
No, I mean, I'm trying to remember which showed up first in the... Oh, yeah, it was the Patty.
Yokie dokies, I'll get to Patty. So
this is the first enemy that shows up in the game, and we're starting off with the worst one, I think.
It just looks like an evil pancake to me.
I almost called it Flapjack, but it makes me think of a hamburger patty, but it's got, like, spots and a little green eye.
You know what?
I don't think it even attacks in the game. It's just sort of a nuisance.
I have a thought just occurred to me.
What?
It looks like really old used gum because of, like, the green spots and stuff.
Alien bastards and their gum. Leaving gum all over the sidewalk.
Yeah, but this does not seem like an alien threat from beyond the stars. It just seems like gum.
I noticed that in the Genesis version, this enemy isn't even there, and I don't think it's any worse off for it.
Sega decided that they don't need the gum monster.
They put that gum in the trash can where it belongs.
But yeah, this is boring. This
On
is
the positive notes, it's all uphill from here, though.
What is the next monster that shows up?
That would be Fatto, I think. No, wait. Before that, there was the snail.
Okay, let me just get that image up, and I will fiddle with the screen thingy. So yeah, it's a snail.
So here we have the snail. I think I should point out that none of these names are official. I got them off a Game Facts walkthrough where a guy just made up names for them, and I covered a couple that he didn't have names for.
Well, it does look like a snail, so you got that.
Yeah. So as you can see, it hides under these little objects. I think these aren't like actual objects, but it makes mimics of them. If you'll notice that little one in the bottom right corner that sort of looks like a sea anemone looking thing.
Yeah.
I believe that is its natural state. And it can make that shape mimic other objects.
So immediately, this kind of just makes me think of like a child trying to design an alien. Like if you told like a 6-year-old.
I think it's fun.
If you told a 6-year-old, draw an alien, this is what we would get.
It's interesting to me how its arms are positioned up over its head. And at first glance, the arms just sort of look like little tentacles, but if you look at it, you'll notice there's an actual elbow joint and apparently pincers in it.
Oh yeah, that
So it's sort of more like a crab claw.
Yeah, it does look like a crab's claw.
The little tendrils on the mouth are a nice touch. It's always sort of extending its neck outward to bite. It only uses the arms when it gets up close to the player.
So Cosby, you know those tube toys that make a funny noise when you use them?
Yeah, a little high pitch that sort of noise.
Yeah, that's kind of what I imagine it's going to make when its neck extends.
Yeah, I could see that. I think it could have used a little more texturing, though. The body is sort of bland.
When did this game come out?
I don't know. Let me check real quick. I think it was early 90s. Yeah, 1990.
Yeah, you think by then they could have textured it more, but maybe Sega just figured, fuck it, Alien game, who cares?
Port came out, but yeah, it was 1990.
So yeah, what's the next one on the list here?
Yeah, the next one is the Fado.
Okay. I immediately the human form of Fado, right?
Yeah.
Looks like he's like covered in warts or something.
Yeah, it's as if his attempt to disguise himself as a human isn't really working all that well. Did you also notice it has three eyes on the head?
Yeah. That's a little weird. It makes me think of.
Kind of looks like a reject TMNT villain crossed with Bill Dotree from King of the Hill.
Oh God, it does look like Bill from King of the Hill.
Hank, you want a beer?
And the other forms kind of make me think of like the movie The Thing.
It makes me think of a Shoggoth.
That too, but I'm getting like Thing feelings.
Yeah, because of the other human heads. If you'll notice off to the left there, there's a separate head. When you destroy the Fado, there's one little head that gets loose and it either grows legs or little insect-like wings.
So
Forgot to put the sprite of that on here, but they're just little like white grasshopper wings.
So I'm guessing they were inspired by The Thing too.
Yeah, probably. This is kind of like maybe the Goomba of Alien Storm. It's the second most common enemy. It's in pretty much every level.
So what are these
It's
like?
a pretty fun design.
What are these like flying meatballs? Is that like just its flying meatball form?
Okay, so there's a type of level that's like first-person shooter perspective, and you're going left to right, and you're trying to shoot the aliens from across aisles and boxes and that sort of thing. And the Fados, only in these sections, they will launch these little spherical mouth thingies at you as a projectile attack.
Because they
They come in green and orange colors.
They look like meatball Pac-Man to me.
I almost thought that these were those faces that are on the Fado's body, but you'll notice they don't have like eyes or mouths. They're something else.
Oh. So yeah, Fado over there. What's next after Fado?
Well, let's get our opinions on it. Like, what do we think about it?
Oh,
I mean, I think this is a great enemy that it really gives a sense of personality and creepiness.
so far this is my favorite.
Like, you look at this thing and you know it's something different.
So far this is my favorite design, but the other two have been just kind of eh. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah, the first two are not too exciting, but the Fado is where things really start to get interesting.
Like,
Though I still do like that concept of the snail having all the little different, little objects for the shell. That was a fun idea.
so with Fado, if there was like a toy, I imagine it would be like made with bendy wires or something.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely would have some sort of soft plastic rubbery feel to it.
Because that's kind of what I imagine the skin texture of these aliens to feel like.
Also, these things have really nice animation in the game, like little mouths on the side chomp up and down, and the little frill on the bottom wavers around when they move. It's pretty spectacular for such a common enemy.
Oh, I looked this up. This is by the Shinobi team, so that explains a lot.
I'm not familiar with their work, but I really like the aliens in this one.
They're the team in Sega who are designing the Shinobi games, and a lot of the Shinobi games had references to like pop culture and movies that had to get changed out in different revisions of the games. because of
Oh
lawsuits.
yeah, that's that ninja game that has Godzilla in it.
Yeah, but in later versions, they had to make him look like a robot dinosaur, and they also was a Spider-Man enemy they had to change.
That's cute.
I think in the first game they had to change a Batman enemy too.
All right, let's stay focused on the enemies though.
Yeah.
Okay, next one after this, I think is the creeper.
The one that looks sort of like a little gremlin.
Yeah, that guy.
Immediately, what comes to mind is Space Gremlin. Space Gremlin.
Yeah, I think even on the Game Facts guide, it describes it as gremlin-like.
So, I noticed that these enemies like to disguise themselves as humans. Is that sort of like a gimmick of the game or something?
I think it's only the creeper and the fatto that do that. I
Hmm.
wonder if they might have intended for most of them to do that, and it was just too tedious to make the animation, or just a guess.
Who knows? I will tell you, I love the colors of the green one though.
Yeah, it's got a really nice teal purple combo. It's very pleasing to look at. When you zoom in on this guy, he's got a lot of interesting details for a fodder enemy like this.
I'm zooming in. Huh. I notice he has
Like
little holes in his back.
tubes. Yeah.
The more I think about it, the more this looks more like a Power Rangers villain or something.
Yeah, I definitely could see this as a Power Rangers villain. I love the texture on the top of it. The little unicorn horn he has is fun, which is functional too. He's able to hit you with it.
Also, like tries to charge you at ya.
Yeah, that's what that one frame is.
I also noticed that a lot of these aliens seem to have like a rubbery like texture to them.
Yeah. It's good at making them feel all grody. I imagine they probably smell horrible.
Like sulfur or something. Now, so those are the other color variants of the alien.
Yeah, I was about to say a thing that I noticed with Alien Storm is that they have this pattern where they like to have palettes in teal, brown, and pink. Those are the most recurring colors. You don't ever really see like a yellow or a blue.
I wonder.
There is one.
You go. I'm sorry.
There is one sort of bluish looking color variant of a different enemy, but it only shows up once.
I wonder
Most
if
of the time it's either pink or brown or greenish teal.
So this makes me wonder if this is on the System 16 board or not. The System 16 was there was
What do you mean?
there was an adaptation of their Genesis hardware for arcades. I think it was called System 16 or was the Mega Board or something like that. I can't remember which one, and it was essentially created to port Genesis games over to the arcade.
I think this started as an arcade game and they ported it to Genesis.
Because here's a fun fact: Altered Beast was that way. Altered Beast was simultaneously released on arcades and in the Genesis at the same time. So I still think the what's it called? The Fatto
Creeper?
is my favorite so far. Still,
Oh. Yeah, the Fatto is a bit more exciting, but I think the Creeper is still a lot of fun as far as a simplistic little humanoid type enemy that goes.
it feels very grunt-like, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, they put creativity into it, though. I mean, this is miles ahead of just throwing in an alien gray or something.
I'll give them that much.
Distinctive, fun. I like it.
What's the next monster?
Trying to remember what order they show up in.
Giant Creeper?
Yeah, that's the next one.
So I'm guessing these are from the shooty bits, right? Where you have to like shoot.
Perspective.
What?
A forward-facing perspective.
Yeah, yeah. These just make me think of like hulked out versions of the creepers immediately.
That's basically what it kind of is. This is never explained in the game, but I think that this is the adult form of the creature, and the other smaller ones are like the juveniles.
Yeah, I could see that. I could believe that.
There's this one shot that's in the introduction, not actually in the gameplay, where you see a giant creeper with two smaller ones riding on top of it. That sort of gives me the vibe that the smaller ones, are younger versions of the same thing.
That just makes me think of like an alien possum immediately.
Oh, what's even weirder is that some creepers have the ability to vomit out fully sized other giant creepers during the shooting segments.
That is weird.
Yeah. I don't know how that's supposed to work.
Also, I noticed this one has like two like side horns on its shoulders and is like more bumpy.
Yeah, the smaller creepers, they only have two. Wait, no. Hang on, let me go check the other one. Oh, wait, yeah, they both have the four horns on the head. Which I guess are more like tubes extending to the back, now that I look at it. See what I mean about the details on these things? It's kind of crazy.
Also, the tubes on the head make me think that this thing isn't like 100% naturally occurring.
Most of these enemies give me a strong bioweapon-y vibe.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting from this. Like, this was designed by some alien force to invade worlds.
I think that's highly likely.
Out of all of these feel like they would be the most action figure-y so far, though.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You also notice in one point during a shooting segment, there's that one giant creeper, and he's carrying off a woman, but you don't really know what for. Obviously, you get penalized if you shoot her. You're supposed to just shoot the creeper, but it only happens that one time.
The most wholesome explanation I can think of is to eat them.
That would be very likely, because you do see the aliens eating people in other scenes. If you'll notice on the sprite, the Fatso, that little collage, there is a scene where it's eating a guy, so it was probably eating people.
I also noticed there's like TVs and advertisements for Sega in the background of these things. That's a nice little detail.
Yeah, one of the shooting levels is a what do you call it? Department store, I guess. You got like washing machines and stereos and that sort of stuff. Also, the giant creeper is the only enemy in the game that seems to have a bluish variant. You can see it in the bottom left corner.
What do you know?
They seem to like this one in particular because it gets the most variants of any enemy.
They must have been proud of this design, I guess.
I think they had good reason to be.
Okay, what's...
Oh, and I forgot to mention, unlike the small one, the giant creeper can barf out little orange spitball things at you.
Uh-huh. So, overall, I think this might be my favorite design so far.
Yeah, I'm kind of inclined to agree. I think it and the Fado are both really great designs.
What's the next one?
Okay, next one would be the spider creeper.
Spider creeper, spider creeper, spider creeper, spider creeper. I'm sorry, that just came to my brain. I apologize greatly. So, I could tell you this.
I think it's the last one on the list, actually.
I kind of don't like this design. I can tell you immediately.
Because
I I don't like the fact that it doesn't really have any like noticeable body plan compared to the others.
it's a regular creeper, and it has its legs flipped upwards towards the sky, and for some reason its feet turn into these mushroom top surfaces, and then out of the shoulders, on each shoulder, a front and back pair of legs appear. So that's what this is.
I just think this is unnecessary detail added to the creeper design.
Well, it's functional because this is the form they take during the running segments so they can move around really fast.
Oh, this I think this is just unnecessary detail.
I think it's cool. The flipped up legs is a really weird detail, but I think it's interesting.
Yet again,
Although
which
the arms seem like they're kind of useless because they're behind the legs. I'm not sure why it would do that to itself.
yet again it makes me think of the Thing, where the head grows legs.
Yeah, but interesting difference from that is that this hasn't actually lost any body parts.
I will always like the green and purple color, though. That's just a color that appeals to my brain. I don't know why. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it looks really good on this design. Yeah, you can't go. It's more of a teal, but yeah, you could call it green, I guess.
It's more of a seafoam green to me, but
Yeah, I could see that. These are really well animated in the game, also.
I wonder who
They
did
did
the
a
art
good
for
job
this
on
game.
Huh?
I wonder who did the art for this game.
I don't know, but they're probably in the credits.
So yeah, this is just a design that I'm not gelling with. I'm sorry.
All right, well, the next one is the flying Fatto.
Flying Fatto, flying Fatto, flying Fatto. Oh, it's Fatto with bat wings and a weird squibbly tail. Sorry.
So, like with the spider creeper, this is the form that the Fatto takes during the running segments where it needs to move around really fast.
Immediately, my mind is drawn to the xenomorph-like tail that it grows.
Yeah, you also notice that the head of it extends outward as if to balance it out better with the tail, which I think is a neat touch. And the demonic bat wings work really well with this design.
I also like how the tubes are like behind the wings.
Yeah, it looks as if I can't tell if they're any different, but it looks as if they sort of compressed a little bit as to not get in the way.
It just makes you think of like giving more blood to the wing area immediately, is what I'm thinking of.
Oh, actually, they're not any different from the regular sprite, but just made me think that. I like that they went for a bat type wing and not like an insect wing. I think this was a better look for it.
Also, I noticed the Fatto's teeth in this more, and they look sort of like demon beaver teeth.
Yeah, they're sort of rodent-like. It's interesting that it only has 4. They're really big.
Like, imagine that thing gnawing
Also,
on bone.
its tendrils retract in this form for some reason. I guess maybe to reduce wind resistance or something. Instead, it sort of excretes poisonous gas from behind it.
Ugh. But a lot of these are giving me sort of a rubber monster feel, like these would be stop animation in a movie, if you get what I'm saying.
Ah, that would be awesome. Alien Storm movie with stop motion aliens.
Maybe it's the texture of these, but I think the giant creeper is still my favorite overall, but this is a good design too.
The giant creeper would work really well as a suit monster.
Yeah, but it'd probably be fucking hot in there.
Well, I mean that's kind of the nature of those things.
So what's after?
I also like how the flying Fado looks in the seafoam green. Works well with it, and so does the pink. Any other thoughts on it?
Uh, I just noticed they have little claw thingies at the end of the bat wings. That's a nice touch.
Yeah, don't actual bats have those? It's
A
like their
finger.
thumb.
Yeah, it's like their
Yeah,
thumb. But I just noticed that, and I think that's a nice touch. Is all I'm saying. Sorry.
it's fine.
What's the next one?
Now I got. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think what followed those up was the first boss encounter. Now that's where things get really interesting.
Which one do you want to use, Boss One or Neuro?
Yeah. So Neuro, this boss, well, all the forms included, I think, are a highlight of the game. This is where they just really went all out with the creativity, and I'm really impressed by it.
The first thing I noticed
Like,
is
how
like
do you?
the witch face.
Yeah, what a weird decision. So unsettling. Nothing else about it is remotely human except for this face.
I get like deep sea creature vibes from this thing. Like it should
Yeah,
exist in the.
even then, the face isn't even really that human except for the nose, because if you took that away, it could easily be like an anglerfish or something, but genuinely unsettling.
Also, I wonder what those tubes on it are for.
I don't know, but I did notice that during the fight, there seems to be some sort of pulsating as if little I don't know, is this as if little spheres or fluid is going from those little brain sacs down into the bottom
Oh
section?
yeah, I was gonna mention that it looks very brain-like, like in its texture.
Yeah, and it pulsates the whole time it's moving around. I think the back section does too.
So far, this
This
is the
thing looked
most
like,
alien of the designs.
yeah. I get the impression this thing is related to the Fados somehow.
Also,
Because this little
I imagine it having just making the worst noises possible.
Oh, yeah. You notice it has that sort of frill at the back of it that looks very similar to the frill that the Fado has.
Yeah, you're right. It does.
Kind of makes me think of a fish fin almost. Also, those little green spots, those can fire off lightning blasts.
But like you said before, I don't imagine this thing smelling great.
Oh, definitely not. Also, in that bottom screenshot, it appears to be launching some sort of gray projectile out of its eye sockets in the game, so I don't think it even has eyes in there. I think it's just empty holes.
Ugh.
Very, very creepy. Also, the little tendril feet are waving all over the place when it's moving.
So this is the most alien. What's the next boss one?
Okay, that would be its second form, which I called the Skaloon.
So
Boy, howdy, this thing is...
immediately I
You were gonna
noticed
say?
like the nose hairs look like horns.
What a weird choice. It's like, that can't be a functional nose, can it?
I, I don't know, but also I noticed its
I mean,
neck.
those aren't like antennae or anything. They seem like horns that are stuck in place, growing out of the nostrils. Very weird choice.
Also, I noticed like the texture on its neck and its arms are just unnerving to me slightly. It's got like this like veiny.
I do think it's a bit of a letdown how it's got that great creepy honeycomb texture on the neck, but the rest of the body is just sort of flat and bland in comparison. I wish it had more of that warty biological armor look that the creepers do. I think that would look better.
Yet again, I'm getting a very Ultraman monster from this feeling.
Oh yeah, yeah. It kind of reminds me of one where they'd have like this really detailed head, and then the rest of the body is just kind of there.
But
Also, the really weird arms.
they look like space oven mitts.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. They look like oven mitts.
But I imagine this thing just constantly screaming.
And almost nothing from Neuro is retained in this form except a vaguely human-ish head and those set of tubes.
Also, why the chest and the fist?
I don't know. It does that when it gets really close to the player. It pulls out that stomach fist thing.
This just makes me think that this creature can change into whatever it fucking feels like.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It feels very, most of these design features are just sort of arbitrary and it could just change them around at will. It's not relying on them for anything, is the impression I get. Also, it can really move that head around and extend it to try to bite the player and swallow him whole. Which just adds to the pleasant vibe this thing gives off.
I think this might be my favorite design just because of how pure alien nightmare it is. Like, this
I
thing
like
should not
Neuro
exist.
and Skaloon, but I think Neuro works better as some sort of alien that might actually exist, and Skaloon has got more of that disturbing Ultraman enemy vibe.
Yeah, I can see that. That's fair enough.
Just feel like they let us down with the texture on the body, though. Could have done a little better with
I
that.
noticed it's got, like, warts on its back.
Yeah, they should have spaced those out onto the rest of the body. That would have helped. It's still a really good boss, very creative, extremely creepy. Okay, so after that, you go to the icon, which is the last form this thing has.
The icon. Okay, immediately. This is not as good as the last form.
Yeah, out of the three, I think this is the weakest one.
Oopsie
I mean,
poopsie.
I don't dislike it, but it's just not nearly as fun or creative as the other two are.
It really does give me a pine cone feeling.
I also really wanted to point out with this one, there's an enemy in Dark Souls called the Chaos Eater, and it bears a strong resemblance to this thing.
Wonder if
Being a big cone shape with eyes all over it and tube limbs.
Also, I noticed
I wonder if that was intentional.
the lizard-like skin texture is weird.
Yeah, they did a really good job on that. It's as if, like, they lacked skin texture on Skaloon and they made up for it on the cone. I guess because it doesn't really need to rotate around as much.
Also,
Very realistic looking.
all of the eyes have like different like expressions almost to them. If you get what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, they move independently of each other. Also, did you notice that each of the scales are unique?
Huh. Not until you don't pointed it
Yeah,
out.
they had to draw each scale.
Well, that's amazing.
Also, I think that little part at the top spins around, and the little funnel at the bottom sort of expands in and out. And each of those little tube sections can expand and contract as they shoot out little energy bullets. But that's about all it can do.
Oh. I think Skaloon is a better design overall, though.
Yeah. You want to hear my idea relating to this boss?
Sure, go ahead, dude.
So I mentioned before that there was that pattern about the enemies coming in a teal and brown and pink.
Mm-hmm.
I think these should have been three separate bosses, and maybe Skaloon should have been brown and then the icon pink instead of making it all one boss fight.
That probably would have made the game a lot better, but they probably
Yeah, because they have barely anything to do with each other. They might as well be entirely separate creatures. So it could be like Neuro's the boss of the pink ones or whatever.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So what's
Yeah, that about covers it for that boss.
so what's next after that?
Let's see, I'm trying to remember what order they showed up in. I think the next one to show up was the fly guy. Yeah, this one is strangely unsettling, but I can't really put my finger on why.
Kind of,
Probably the big ass hands, though.
it kind of makes me think of like a flying human seahorse.
Yeah, it's got a seahorse tail, but it's like a sort of a fish mouth with little snail eyes and big human arms.
This kind of makes me think of like something you would see in like a fever dream or something.
Yeah, or one of those really weird Nickelodeon cartoons.
Now, I noticed that this has like the seahorse part of its body has like banded scales, right?
Yeah, it's segmented.
I wonder why they didn't do that for the hands.
It reminds me quite a bit of Skaloon, except in reverse, because Skaloon has the flat, textured body and the segmented arms. This really adds to that impression I have that the arrangement of the body parts aren't necessarily functional and it can just change them any which way. This definitely doesn't feel like a natural life form.
Also, I noticed like the bumps on the back of its like tail.
Yeah, I wonder if those are little spines. They don't seem to go all the way up the back.
Probably would get in the way of its wings.
Yeah, the wings, they move really fast in the game. It sort of adds to the effect of it having to hover rapidly to remain in place, which is cool.
I kind of don't want to see this thing in reality though. Like this.
I wouldn't want to see any of these in reality. That'd be horrifying. Speaking of which, its attack surprisingly doesn't seem to involve the giant hands, but instead it spits out this tongue at you.
You think it would go use its giant hands to just grab on you?
You would think, but I didn't notice that in the playthrough. Although it might have a hand attack that I just didn't see because these things get vaporized so fast. Not a very strong enemy.
Well, for a mook, it's very disturbing.
Yeah. I like that they thought outside the box and came up with these weird, crazy designs. I don't think it's on the same level as the Creeper or the Fado, but it's still creative.
And yet, Sega will never make a sequel to this.
Ugh. What a waste. Imagine seeing these freaks in 3D.
Ugh.
Could have been amazing.
So what's the next one after?
Next. Well, I guess we'll get two of the less interesting ones out of the way before we get to the second boss. Let's go to Divitnar and Cranot plants. Really big roots. I mean, being plants, neither of them can move. Although the Divitnar plant, it can move its tubular body back and forth. If you get too close to it, it'll spray gas at you. So it's not completely helpless.
But out of all the alien...
I also noticed that the Divitnar plant, you can't actually kill it in the game for some reason.
Huh, weird. Wonder why.
I don't know. I think it's the only thing in the game you can't kill.
Yeah. But out of all the alien freaks, these are just feel the laziest so far.
I wouldn't say... Well, I think they're fine for what they are. It's just, I mean, they're just plants, so it's hard to compete with, things like Skaloon and the Fatto. They're just kind of level filler. As far as that goes, I think they're okay, but they're not too exciting.
Okay, what's next after the plants?
Rascal. That's next. So yeah, this one is weird. And not in the weird in the way the other ones are.
It just gives me an Invasion of the Body Snatchers feel.
In the game, what this appears to be is one of those little Fatto heads that's trying to disguise itself as a human child.
I wonder if this is like
For some reason.
the larval form of a Fatto.
I don't know. This whole its attempt to disguise itself looks very deliberate to me. Although I guess the heads could be larval Fattos. I forgot to mention that Neuro, when you finally destroy that boss, he explodes into a whole bunch of these heads. Which sort of adds more fuel to my idea that he's related to the Fattos somehow.
Also, I noticed it like its cap sort of looks like hair.
Disguises. When you kill the rascal, it just morphs back into a head.
This is not a very good disguise.
Also, you'll notice it doesn't have any hands. It just has little tendrils.
Ugh. It also...
I think there's only one of these in the whole game.
Oh. It also has beaver
It just
teeth.
adds to the weirdness.
This is the beaver teeth, too.
Yeah, it's... The weird thing is it appears to have a big singular tooth on the top, but one little tooth on the bottom. What an odd detail. Yeah, just all around weird.
Oh, excuse me.
I guess it's sort of a funny concept, but it's just sort of
Well,
you'll take it or leave it.
Someone on Sega probably thought it would be funny.
It is sort of funny.
So what's the next one after the Rascal?
Drop ship.
Drop ship. So
I was pretty disappointed to see this in the game after the sheer madness of the triple form boss that preceded it.
So this just looks like a very generic UFO.
Yeah. UFO is what it's called in the game facts guide, but I thought dropship was a better name for it, since it seems to act as a troop carrier.
The more I look at it, the more it looks like a space dildo, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it kind of does. One thing I also noticed is that this seems to be the only mechanical thing relating to these aliens.
And I'm going to say that I don't think Fatto can pilot this thing.
There's no evidence in the game for this, but my theory is that these things stole it from some other race of aliens. I don't think they actually built this.
Well, what I think is whatever made the creepers and the Fattos and whatever just put them on these ships to go try to conquer Earth or something.
Well, the thing is, the Fattos and the creepers, the main alien race you're fighting against, they have a ship that is clearly related to them that shows up right after this, and it is entirely different. So I think they stole the drop ship from somebody else. That's about all I have to say about it. In the boss fight, it just sort of flies away from you and drops little spiked roller things. Not too exciting.
Yeah, compared to all the alien...
I would have preferred another freaky monster.
Yeah, it would fit better with the game's overall aesthetics.
And speaking of ship, the next one after this is the mothership.
Mothership. Oh yeah, you were right. I noticed the human face again.
Yeah, the human face in the game, it's not just a detail, it's a functional mouth. It literally eats the player. And that's how they end up in the mothership for the last two levels of the game. It eats the player and then it flies off to space.
Like, look at the weird worm thingies coming out of its.
Yeah, that's a really creepy detail, isn't it?
Like, is that its engine? How does this
I
thing?
don't know.
How does this thing travel through space?
You'd think all those holes in it would be a liability, but maybe they're just not that deep of holes. You know, it looks like it's made of the same sort of rubbery stuff that the Fatto and the Neuro are made out of.
Also, I noticed like it has a exposed brain leg or ugh.
In fact, that weird looking fin thing on the top of it, Neuro has a very similar shape on the top of it. So they're clearly related.
This just makes you think of like a weird live action Mother Brain.
No, this gives me the impression it's not really a ship in a normal sense, but it's like a colossal version of one of these aliens that the rest of them travel around in. I wonder if it always had that humanish face on it, or if it changed that for some reason.
I kind of don't want to know. I don't want an answer.
It's very unsettling.
It's like Ross with Spider-Bot. Maybe we shouldn't be asking the questions in the first place. What's out
I wonder
there?
if those tentacles at the back help it land or something.
I just imagine this thing making the worst noise possible yet again.
Oh, yeah. Could you imagine just going for a walk and looking up and then this fucking thing is lowering out of the sky?
I
Ugh.
would check myself into an insane asylum.
That's some bad swamp gas right there.
Yeah, but overall, this thing is disturbing.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's one of the most memorable sprites in the game, which is really saying something.
Okay, what's next?
Death set. I think this probably should have come sooner, but might as well just talk about.
Talk about it. It looks like a caterpillar.
You there? Did you cut out?
Yeah, I'm here. It looks like a caterpillar to me.
I like this one a lot. Feels very Metroid-y.
Yeah, I can see this being something Samus fights.
It's simplistic, but I think it's very well executed. I like the gnarly looking spikes on the back. It look very sharp, and I like the way it can crawl up and down on the boxes and
So this is like the most
jump at the
armored monster in the game.
Yeah. It's sort of funny because it doesn't hold up against flames any better than any of the others, but it looks like it would.
Also, I noticed its face looks very fish-like for something that looks like a worm.
Yeah, it's for a bug monster. It's got quite a bit of personality in its weird little face.
But I don't think they're like...
Oh shit, my computer did some sort of weird little thing.
Wow. But these do not look like they are the same
Oh boy,
species.
the display driver stopped responding.
Oh, fun. This does not look like it would belong to the same species or species that Fatto and Neuro would belong to.
Yeah, it looks a bit more like a normal animal than a lot of the other stuff does.
Yeah, the rest look artificial. This looks like it could have evolved naturally somewhere in the universe.
Maybe it is a natural life form and they stole it.
Or it's like a parasite or something.
Yeah, that I could see them doing that.
Okay, what's the next one? Yeah, it looks like a frog.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on fucking image to load here.
I noticed that like it has like how its mouth is sort of like got weird hanging flesh.
God damn, my computer is being slow. Okay, yeah, I see it now. It's got lips, but it's got like little bits of flesh that's stuck between it on each side.
Also, this
It's weird.
one of the images, it looks like its flesh is melting off or it's like on fire.
Yeah, that's when the player hits it with the flamethrower, and you'll notice it has 2 feet at the back as well. So it's got 4 limbs total, and I think this is the only enemy that does.
I noticed it's like tubes, so I think those tubes helped it cleaned on the things.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But this is the most amphibian-like enemy out of all of them.
Kind of makes me think of that one Gamera villain. I'm forgetting what its name was.
I know what you're talking about. The one with the knife head.
No, that's Giron. I'm thinking of Jiger. Yeah, Jiger also had those tube feet that had a suction power to them.
But this is just an okay design. This is they could have gotten more creative with weird alien frog monster.
Yeah, it's just sort of a big lumpy blob with feet, the mouth.
But I do imagine
Not too exciting.
I do imagine it sort of sounding like a deflated whoopee cushion.
Yeah, especially when it gets killed. Still, though, for a monster that hangs upside down, I feel like they could have gotten a little more creative and come up with something really zany. Like, I don't know, maybe a 4-legged creature that's like its limbs and its head face opposite directions.
I do notice it has no eyes, though.
Yeah, it only has tiny little nostrils. Although maybe those are eyes, but I kind of doubt it because it looks like they contract. Although I guess they could be like really small eyelids, but they look like nostrils to me.
Okay, what's the next one on our list here?
Let's see. Okay, getting down to the last two, we're on to the Kanju.
So this is the most Harryhausen out of all the designs, in my humble onion.
Yeah, this one's very creative.
I notice it has like 4 arms or like tube appendages coming out of it.
Well, the thing about the Kanju is it's actually 2 different creatures. There's the little horn-headed gremlin that sits on top with its legs crossed, and then there's a bottom creature that's sort of like the bottom half of a kangaroo, and it's got the little crab claw circle segment with the head and a segmented tail.
Yet again, rodent teeth.
Yeah. They're more like bat teeth, I would say. The little goblin guy on top can grab the little circular thing in the middle and throw it out as a projectile, and then it immediately grows a new one. Also, as you can see in the top right, the little goblin man can unhook his legs from the bottom segment, and he flips his whole body over and bends his feet forward, and his little leg nubs shoot out lasers. That is really zany.
The face also just looks grumpy, like it's just tired of all the other alien bullshit.
It looks like an angry little fat baby to me.
So far, this looks like the most intelligent out of all of them.
I wonder if it's possible for the goblin creature to unhook itself from the bottom thing.
I'm also getting a Master Blaster vibe from it, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, kinda. I really like the expression on the little circle creature's face when it gets launched at you in first-person perspective. That also reveals that it has more teeth.
But yeah, this feels like the most Harryhausen out of all the designs.
I think the green coloration definitely fits it the best. The pink and the brown don't look quite right.
Also, I noticed it's got like tail spots yet again.
Oh yeah, it's little bumps like the fly guy has, except those are on the sides instead of the top. I wonder if they serve any sort of purpose.
Maybe just all these aliens are similar species or something like that of weirdo shapeshifters.
That would make a lot of sense. Also, I noticed this is the only one of these enemies that has crab claws, which is kind of surprising. I mean, the snail sorta has it, but it's the same texture as the rest of his body.
Yeah, I get you.
These have like an actual shell to them.
So we're at the final boss.
Yeah, time to close things out on a really disappointing note.
How
You got it
disappointing
pulled
are
up?
we talking?
Very. It's the mastermind is the final boss.
Oh, the giant brain. Lame.
Yeah. Come on, Alien Storm. You
Out of all the things to end on, you end on giant brain out of all the wacky bullshit you had.
thought to come up with. Admittedly, I think the worst thing about it is the detail of the level around the mastermind is way more interesting than the monster itself.
So, to me, it looks like those are like mechanical details almost, maybe, that it's hooked up to.
It's got a very biomechanical look to this room that it's apparently connected to via the tubes.
Maybe that it's what controls the mothership.
I wonder if all of these creatures are perhaps biomechanical to some extent, and that's why they share so many traits.
Yeah, but I don't think this thing is in charge of the invasion. I think it's like a middleman at best.
Hmm. You know, come to think of it, an idea that might make it better is that the brain is not really a separate creature. It literally is just the brain of the mothership, which is the actual commander of these things.
That would make it a lot better, yeah.
That's what I prefer to think of it as. That just feels more right to me.
But this is really disappointing compared to all the wackiness of some of the other bosses and monsters in this game.
Yeah. It kind of makes sense in terms of being the brain of the creature that you're inside, but it's still so lame. I mean, they could have come up with just about anything to end this game on, and this is what they go with. It could still be like a monsterish brain with like a face and arms or something, but
It mostly just
what a
looks like
letdown.
tubes on it or something. So I think the Skullgar is my favorite design overall, just because of how weird it is.
The Skaloon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just the name I made up for it. I think it's fitting.
And the brain is just disappointing here.
Yeah. I'm not really sure what my No, you know what? I gotta hand it to the King You. That's gotta be my favorite. That thing is so creative.
But I could see some of these designs working as toys or just for funsies.
Yeah, I could definitely see the Kangyu with like a button on the back and you launch it and the little circle thing with the claws comes out.
But this just makes me wish that Sega was doing more creative, wacky bullshit like this, like they did back in the day.
I wish anybody was. I would love for someone to do like a spiritual successor to Alien Storm with more wacky monsters in it.
I mean, we finally got a Streets of Rage sequel, so anything's possible now.
Yeah, it could happen.
Sega's desperate for money, so they'll probably give anyone a license. They'll probably give us a license if we paid them enough.
If only we had the money. Well, fuck it. We don't need the money. We can make our own alien weirdo things.
And we could make the final boss not a giant brain.
Yeah, could definitely do that.
The final boss is Lucha Jack all along. Or Duke Nukem just sitting in a throne room. I took over those alien bastards.
Yeah, you'd need copyright for that too.
Just call him Nuke Dukem.
Duck Nukem.
Oh no, it's
So yeah, all in all, I think this is about maybe an 8 out of 10 enemy rogues gallery.
Yeah, I know the
Really good stuff.
one of the heroes is a robot.
Yeah, he is a robot, and he has a whip, and he can shoot you with his feet.
So, what monsters gallery would you like to do for next recording? Like whenever we feel like it.
I don't know yet. I guess we'll figure that out later.
Okay, I'm gonna end the voice chat and the stream. It's been nice talking to you as always.
Alrighty, this has been fun.
Yeah, this has been. Bye. Well, that ends the stream. Goodbye.